Hello and welcome. This is Eagle Eye 621, and what you're looking at behind me is an Enderman farm. But we are not in the end. We are in the Nether right now. But in Java 1.16, you can now make an effective Enderman farm in the Nether. And by effective, I mean that you can max out your XP rates from this farm. All Enderman farms top out at 60,000 XP per hour, and that comes down to the rate of the XP orbs that your character is capable of collecting. And at 60,000 per hour, it's 1,000 a minute, 16.67 per second. But in terms of what you're using this for, is almost certainly for your enchantments or for your gear. And it will take you from 0 to 30 levels in 84 seconds, or you can do that over 43 times per hour. Or if you're just doing your max level enchantments of going from 27 to 30, you can do that in under 19 seconds, meaning that you can do just about 200 enchantments per hour with a farm like this. So let me show you how to build this. Let me show you the important in terms of the dimensions, the location, the heights, and all of that. But before I do that, let me just ask you to scroll down a little and hit that subscribe button. It really does help out the channel a lot, and most of you still are not subscribers. Let me also tell you, I know that it's a little bit dark, but in terms of my choices, I can either do this, which is just too strange for me, or it's going to be a little bit darker. So just adjust the contrast on your screen. So now let's take a look at this farm and what's going on. And the first important thing to note is that this farm must be built specifically in the warped forest, as you can see right here. In the warped forest, the only mobs that spawn are Endermen and the Striders, but the Striders will only spawn on lava. They're a passive mob, so they won't affect this. It is important that the entire farm be built in the warped forest for your maximum efficiency and placement. If you have any issues in terms of being able to find a decent enough size, then you can use some tricks with regard to that. The answer is, if you've built out most of your farm and you just realize that, this block right here or these couple of blocks right here are not part of the warped forest, then you are going to need to replace these blocks with a non-spawnable block like glass. I can show you how quickly to do this in the easiest way by dropping down here to the bottom of the world. And what you can see here is some Endermen dropping to their death, but I'll get to that one in a little bit. It's not part of the farm. You're going to want to come on top of the bedrock, so you're going to want to punch a hole in the bedrock, and if you don't know how to do that, I'll put an iCard with a video right now that'll be in the description. And basically, you wander around in the Nether until you find something that looks interesting. I found this spot right here, which looked like it was pretty much in the center for me. So I went 35 blocks out in each direction to give myself a little bit of extra room. And then when I tried to see if this entire area was the warped forest, I found out it was not, that the corner was actually on this block right here. And in that direction, it stopped. So I made this my corner, and I went out and made a giant square, as you can see from the other light source blocks. And I found that this area does work. And then you can run around down here on the bottom, so you can double check, again, that's right here on your screen, that the entire thing is going to be in a warped forest. And once you figure that out, then you work with your dimensions, which I did right here to figure out where the standing platform is. Now, as to these falling Endermen, as we scroll back up to the top of the farm, you will note that I did punch a hole here for the Enderman to fall through, and that's also part of your biome check. You're going to want to clear out the mob cap in this area frequently, so you can do that by just having the Endermen fall off to their death. The reason you want to do that very briefly is just to double check on your spawns. If you see any non-Endermen spawning, then you are going to want to look at where it is that they spawned, and you're going to want to, as I mentioned, put a glass block in that area or some other non-spawnable block. Now, in terms of the materials you need to build this, this is very much a build to scale, but I will tell you the scale that I built this for your general reference. And let me first put this back here so they stop falling to their death. If they'll let me get in there. And then put that back just like that. We can get rid of these. Now, the size that you're looking at right here, and that is the size of this farm, is overall a 61 by 61 square. You do not have to use iron blocks. This is not 61 by 61 iron blocks. That's the outside square. The inside square is 33 by 33. And then the platform itself, your base, is going to be a 9 by 9. So this in here is where your base is. And you can get up here in any number of ways. You can put some scaffolding. You can extend this out a little bit in terms of a landing pad for your elytra. But you want to make sure that you are standing within this 9 by 9. Now, I did not include the walls in that number, so this bottom platform is actually 11 by 11. But your inner standing spot here is 9 by 9, and that's why you can get away with using these glass blocks. You can make the entire thing out of your solid spawnable block, but because mobs won't spawn within 24 area of a radius around the player, they won't spawn on these blocks anyways. I think it's a little bit cooler to be able to look up and see all the Endermen coming together. So in terms of how many blocks that is, in terms of your inner square, you're looking at about 1,100 blocks, which is 17 stacks, and your outer square, which does not include these blocks, are about 2,600, which is a little over 41 stacks. And again, it doesn't have to be iron. You can make it out of stone if you want. That's perfectly acceptable. Along with that, you are going to want to have these 3 slabs. You're going to need a bunch of trapdoors, although strictly speaking, you don't need all of these, but I think it looks a little bit nicer. You're going to want 29 carpet, and you're going to want 15 either iron bars or glass panes, and that's to set up your endermite, that you're also going to need to name tag to make sure that it does not despawn, and a minecart to hold it in. And then you're going to want some temporary blocks to get that endermite into place, and I will show you how to do this. And then you're also going to want to have a sword. Now, even though I like my looting 3 sword, in this kind of farm, I highly recommend you do not use looting at all. Just your sweeping edge, sharpness 5, unbreaking 3, and mending. And that's because the ender pearls actually become problematic when you're killing this many endermen. So a lot of the farms need to work on how to dispose of your ender pearls. I find it easier to just use a sword that doesn't have looting, so you don't have to worry about it. You still do end up with a whole bunch of ender pearls, and you can of course use the looting sword intermittently if you need it specifically for those ender pearls. Now, in terms of this killing area, you can see that the half slabs go right like that. And your trapdoors are here for a reason. If you press up against these trapdoors on this outside, you can still reach all of these endermen, but they will not be able to reach you. And this is just to contain it. And I'll show you this farm in action. And then I will show you how to set this part up and also what the dimensions are for that. So we're going to grab this sword without looting. Let's come in here and switch over to survival mode. And you can see that I currently have no levels, and let's just go up to level 20 to see how long that takes to not get too boring with this. And you can also see the reason I'm going to 20 and not just stopping sooner is because in terms of how big you want to make your farm, you want to make sure that you're killing endermen at such a rate that your XP is continually flowing from your enderman kill zone. That is, these XP orbs should never stop giving your character XP. And when you are done killing them, and I'll do that when I get to level 20, you should be able to look down and see that there are still some XP orbs that your player has not absorbed. And that's how you know that you've reached the maximum speed possible with Enderman. Like such. Now, it wasn't a great example because I messed that part up right there. But if you find that you do not have excess XP orbs, then you are going to want to increase the size of your square. And if you have too many, then you can reduce that size a little bit. You do want to be careful with having too many XP balls because they can start to lag out your world if you just have way too many of them floating around you the entire time. Let's go back into creative mode and let's get some of these materials that we need. As I said, you are going to want to have your minecart. You're going to need a name tag with a great name right there. You're going to need some ender pearls. You may need more than 16. You're going to need about a half stack of just full blocks, some temporary rails, and a marker block. And then this is what we're looking for right here. And then in terms of the heights and where you're putting everything, the height of the platform you're standing on, as you can see by our looking at tab, is 246 blocks in the air. That means that our spawning platform is going to be this 249 in terms of your Y level. Now coming in here to the center, you can see I have some iron bars placed here. You can also make these glass panes. These are going to be at 251. So there is a block between your spawning platform and your iron bar right there. And then you're going to want to have a double layer of carpet on top of those iron bars. And then you can tell this right here in the center, you can tell is right above this block where the hole is. And this iron bar right here is at 252. And then there's a carpet on top of that, which is at 253. And then you can see that our minecart with the Enderman is right on top. And because this iron bar is at the eye level of the Enderman and there's a carpet on top, they are not able to reach it. This iron bar acts like a funnel in order to force all the Endermen to keep pushing each other into this kill zone. And the double carpet on top means that they won't be able to spawn, or importantly, won't be able to teleport on top of this, which could get them in range to kill your endermite, which would break your farm. So over here I have a iron bar already, and you can see that this is at the correct Y level, at the 252. To get your endermite, you're going to want to have your carpet, which I forgot to bring over. So let's grab a red carpet and put it on top. Now you're going to want to be pushing your endermite into this, so you do want to have some sort of a signal block that it is that you are going to be pushing it in this direction. So let's get some of this to make a enclosure, just like this. Now you want to mark the place you're going to push it, so I like to use those marker blocks, just different than the rest of your little setup. You want to come out a bit with your full blocks, and this is going to contain the endermite, and then close this part in. Now you can see, importantly, that our rails are going to be above the carpet area. That means we'll be able to push it. And then you also want some blocks around on this side so that when you push it in, it will go nicely into place. And now you put your rails down. If you want, you can also add a ladder, and that's just to help you get away from the endermite itself. Now, if you do have armor with thorns on, I would recommend not using that armor because you don't want to kill the endermite. And now you're basically just going to slam your face into these rails until you get an endermite. And I actually got two really fast. So luck of the video usually goes in the opposite. So let's name tag at least one of these to make sure they don't despawn. And then let's get it in a minecart. And there we go. We have one in a minecart. We're going to have to dispose of the other one so that it doesn't cause any problems. Sorry, buddy. Don't make me kill both of them at the same time. Go this way. There we go. And now that that's in the minecart, we're going to break our blocks that tell us which way to push it. And then just simply push it into place. And there it goes. Once it's on top of that carpet, very carefully break all of the blocks around it like this without nudging it. If you knock into it and you push it off, you'll have to start over. And then you can clear off this entire area, and your endermite is now in place for all of time. And this is the heart of the farm. The enderman will track to this endermite within 64 blocks. So let's get rid of that to not cause any more issues with the farm over here. So you can make this platform up to 64 blocks in each direction from the center. Of course, you don't need to go nearly that big, and you'll be able to get all of the XP and the XP orbs that Enderman can get you. And now you don't even need to go over to the end to make an Enderman farm. Now this does look familiar to you. This is heavily based and basically the same thing as my Enderman pancake. That was my Enderman build in the end that didn't risk falling into the void, because you can build this platform over in the end basically at build height in the same exact way. If you build it over your main end island, then you never have to worry about falling into the void and losing all your stuff. If you found this video helpful, I would appreciate a like. For more videos like this, do be sure to subscribe. Of course, if you found it interesting, you can tell one of your friends. And I'm also happy to note that YouTube has given me a join button, which is their equivalent of Patreon. So if you're interested in supporting me in that way, you can head down next to the subscribe button, which you should of course click. There is a bunch of additional features that are offered, which you can take a look at. Thanks for stopping by.